So, I'm heading to work right now. Probably can't see me, except for whenever, like, somebody's headlight shot in my face, but that's alright. Ugh! Oh, I thought that was a Pepsi. It's a fucking Hawaiian Punch. But, I always, you know, I like talking to myself because, you know, I like using my voice and I like explaining things to people. But sometimes whenever I explain things to people, I feel like I might be patronizing them, or they might think I'm patronizing, or they might or I feel like they might be patronizing me, like just by listening. Like, oh, look at him, he's so enthusiastic, you know, shit like that. So I enjoy talking to myself when I'm in the car about something I'm into. So I'm on my way to work. I'm on my way to my graveyard shift delivering sandwiches. And I figured I would talk about some random shit like I usually do. Right now, what I've been wanting to talk about, because I've been thinking about this, like I'm trying to grow my fucking YouTube channel and Twitch. And I've been thinking about doing this because, like, I always, you know, talk to myself in the cars, and I'm like, people might be interested in this, you know, it just might be something relatable. So I've been thinking about, like, what I'm going to talk about, because usually what I talk about is, you know, some nostalgic shit, or something I'm really into, and what the things I'm really into are, like, video games, mostly MMOs, you know, shit like that. So I might as well. The first thing that came to my mind when I thought about doing this was Destiny, the video game, not the not the guy. And like, because the other day I did this exact same thing I'm doing now, where I just talked at like my normal speaking voice about something I was enthusiastic to myself in my car. And I was talking about like how nostalgic I was for Destiny 1, like as if I was like recording a YouTube video, but you know, just like talking to myself. So I figured I might as well actually record it. I'm going to talk about hand cannons and auto rifles. Fucking, you might be thinking like, that's boring as shit. You're just going to talk about fucking specific kinds of guns and their stats. And to that I say no, I'm not going to talk about that, because I don't really give a fuck about the stats. You know, one of my favorite guns to use in Destiny are auto rifles. And you know, PvE is whatever, use whatever the fuck you want, you try to make yourself as badass as possible. You know, if you want to use an auto rifle, use a fucking auto rifle. You know, PvE doesn't matter. But most of the time, whenever people are talking about how good a weapon is, they're like talking about the metagame PvP. And right now, PvP's fucking busted, and you know, there's about like 10 good weapons, if even. You know, or like some super god roll or some other knockoff weapons. So I'm basically just talking about how it feels, right? Because like, I love auto rifles, right? I really like auto rifles. But what I like even more than auto rifles are hand cannons, right? Because I just feel, and Bungie feels this way too, right? They feel this way too, that hand cannons are the perfect guns in Destiny to help define a Guardian, right? You know, like you think about lore and you think about Dredgen Yor, and Dredgen Yor is so well known because he had a fucking badass gun. And you might think like, oh yeah, well the gun was badass in Destiny, you know, it was like, yeah, Dredgen Yor is whatever the fuck. But like when they hear that he had the most overpowered gun in Crucible originally, you know, that's why it was popular. And to that I agree, but I also say that it has something to do with the fact that it was a hand cannon, right? I feel like people are a lot less badass when they have like an auto rifle, or like maybe like a sniper rifle or a bow is almost as cool you know, to some people. But I feel like, in my opinion, and I think Bungie agrees, that hand cannons are kind of like a signature gun. Like for example, I felt this way using Fatebringer back in Destiny Year 1. And if you don't know, Fatebringer, God, back when raid weapons were fucking good, right? As in the first raid of Destiny, and that's it, Right? I can name every weapon that was in that. All right, not every weapon. The sniper rifle was called Praetor's Revenge, I'm pretty sure. The shotgun was called something. I actually don't remember this. I don't remember the shotgun, but I remember it was really fucking good. I think the pulse rifle was called something timepiece. You know, those. I said those ones first because they're the ones that are like whatever. You know, they're still good and you remember them. But the ones you really remember were Vision of Confluence, which was the slow rate of fire scout rifle that all slow rate of fire scout rifles were based on forever. And I think it had Firefly. I might be wrong. Atheon's Epilogue, which was the auto rifle, and Fatebringer, which was the hand cannon. And Fatebringer was the best gun, I think, ever to drop from a raid that wasn't an exotic. Because, and I'm talking about like on a grand scale, PvE and PvP, because if you just take a look at PvP, Fatebringer is kind of mediocre. You know, it was never really that good. It was never really that bad, but like if you walked up into a Crucible with a Fatebringer, it wasn't as good as if you walked up into fucking Crucible with a, whatever the fuck that Year 3 vendor hand cannon was called, the Palindrome, or Eazaluna, or Thorn, or anything like that. You know, but in PvE, it was so fucking badass. It had Firefly on it, and it had high impact and high range. So basically, it had almost as much range as a scout or a pulse rifle, but it hit like 3 times as hard, and it was easier to aim because it's lighter. You know, you can move your hand around easier. And if you shot somebody in the head, they fucking exploded. And it was a big fucking explosion. So it was like an AoE gun. And everybody fucking wanted Fatebringer. The only gun that I would ever say was better than Fatebringer that dropped from a raid doesn't count because it's an exotic. And it was the Vex Mytho class pre-nerf. Right? I never got the Vex Mytho class, so I'm just talking from hearsay. You know, it's kind of like one of those things that's built up by the community that you don't even know if they're true. But basically, back before it got nerfed, Vex Mythoclast, if you don't know, the way it worked was it was basically a fusion rifle that went into your main hand slot, I think. Yeah, it went into your primary slot. It was a fusion rifle, and it worked like a pulse rifle, and you could kill somebody if you shot them in the head with one pull of the trigger. It was overpowered as fuck. It was busted, it was dumb as hell, but it was like, yeah, this drops from the hard mode version of the hardest content in the game off the last boss, and it's incredibly rare. So if you have it and you're fucking people up in the Crucible, everybody's kind of like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care. And I honestly still think that should happen today. I thought that was badass as fuck, and then they nerfed it. But besides that, Fatebringer is the best weapon, and it's a legendary. I'm putting it out there. It's not exotic, it's a legendary. They made an exotic version because it was so fucking good in Year 3. They were like, oh yeah, we need to bring back Fatebringer, Vision of Confluence, and Atheon's Epilogue. They didn't bring back the pulse rifle, I don't think. Maybe they did, I don't remember. I think they did actually bring back the pulse rifle. But was there even a pulse rifle? I can't even fucking remember. Anyways, that's not the point. He's like, I fucking hogging at me. Doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is, you know, all these weapons were so good and so memorable, but the most memorable one was the hand cannon. It's so good, you know, remember the name of it. And I feel like that is kind of like one of those defining weapons, right, that you just be happy having, right? You know, like, I kind of want to compare it to, if you play an MMO like World of Warcraft, you know, where there's 36 different specs, and every spec uses different kinds of weapons, right? If I think about that game, and I think, all right, which one of these weapons is the most badass? Do I think it's the bow and arrows? Do I think it's this? Do I think it's this? Do I think it's this? What I think is most badass in that game is the people who have one two-handed sword, right? Like, if they just have one single two-handed sword. I think that is the most badass, because it just, it's a set piece. It's a centerpiece. It's like something you would place on a table. You know, like a staff or daggers or one-handed swords or like a sword and a shield. You know, they look good, sure, but they don't define you. All right? I feel like two-handed swords define people, right? I feel the exact same way about hand cannons. So, you know, you think about Dredgen Yor, you know, he was defined by his hand cannon. You think about Shin Malphur, he was defined by his hand cannon. You know, it's like, oh yeah, these guys were both written about two exotic hand cannons that were in the game. And that's badass. But what if they were both written about some random other fucking weapons? Like, yes, Dredgen Yor, he was a guardian killer, and he killed people with his evil weapon, Bad Juju. Or no, Red Death. He killed people with his evil weapon, Red Death. And then one day, in the fields of some fucking Texas Hold'em, you know, on the plains of Valor, after killing his master, Shin Malphur rocks up with his bad juju and then lights it on, you know, lets the light run in it, turning it into a golden gun, and then he shoots one burst clip at Dredgen Yor and then ends him. That's like so fucking lame. It's not nearly as cool as you have a one-handed fucking gun, right? You're a badass and you got a fucking cannon in your hand. And it has a bullet, one single bullet. And that bullet is enough to kill somebody if you hit it in the right place, and it has their fucking name written on it. I just feel like that's so badass. I think about every gun in Destiny, right? I think about this not just as looking at lore characters, but looking at myself, all right? I never want to use an exotic hand cannon and be like, yeah, this is my hand cannon. I always want to get a god roll hand cannon. Because it's like, yeah, people might have like the same hand cannon, it has the same name, but this one is mine. This is my weapon, all right? This is my, like, weapon. It defines me, and it's my favorite weapon. I love using it. That's how I felt about Fatebringer. You know, everybody had Fatebringer, but it wasn't as well known. You know, all the, you know, people who were super into Destiny knew what Fatebringer was, but everybody didn't know about Fatebringer. You know, you think of the Ace of Spades, where it's the gun used by Cayde Six. You know, he's like the main character of Forsaken, and then you get the entire story is about getting back his fucking gun and then killing, you know, the guy with his gun who killed him with his gun. You know, it's all about the Ace of Spades, you know, further proving my point, I might add. But that being said, I wouldn't want to make that my hand cannon, right? I don't want to show off with the Ace of Spades and be like, yeah, this is my hand cannon, because it's not, right? Same with Thorn, even, because Thorn and, you know, Ace of Spades, sure, I like using them. For example, I miss Fatebringer so much. Ace of Spades has Firefly on it, but it's still not as good as it was in Destiny 1. So I have this Warlock exotic robe that makes it so whenever your kinetic weapons get a headshot and kill something, they explode. So I have the Ace of Spades and I have this other exotic, so whenever I shoot something in the head and it dies, it explodes twice. So it's basically as good as Fatebringer was in Destiny 1. I have to proc its effect twice, and then it's almost as good as Fatebringer was. But you know, I still use the gun, but I don't feel like it's mine. I really want to find a badass hand cannon that's really good and just use it. Be like, oh yeah, I really like this gun. But like the biggest issue with that is Destiny 2 hand cannons have always been kind of trash. I mean, recently there's like one or two hand cannons, like legendary hand cannons, that can actually god roll really well, and you know, you can use them in PvP. But even outside of PvP specifically and god rolls, you know, just hand cannons in general, they're just like whatever. They kind of feel like sidearms. I don't know. There's just something majestic about hand cannons in Destiny 1. Because, like, if you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, you know, like, what the hell is a hand cannon? You know, the way Destiny works is they have, like, a bunch of different weapons. But what you put in your primary hand basically comes down to, you know, 4 different kinds of primary weapons. There's, like, 5-ish now, but I still only count the original 4. And that's auto rifles, Auto rifles, pulse rifles, scout rifles, and hand cannons. They added submachine guns and sidearms, which you know what those are. A submachine gun is a submachine gun is a submachine gun. Sorry, my hair fucking messes with me. And a sidearm is kind of like just a pistol. You know, like a pistol, whatever. It's a fucking pistol. An auto rifle is weird. It's kind of like, it can be anything ranging from a submachine gun to almost a light machine gun. It can be anywhere in there. It's really weird. It's a bit stronger than a submachine gun. You know, it's a bit weaker than a light machine gun. It's not exactly an assault rifle. You know, it's not exactly not an assault rifle. It's weird. They're like kind of made up guns. You know, it's basically just a word to target a broad spectrum of guns if they were in like another game. You know, but basically, you know, you hold the trigger, it shoots automatically. It's an auto rifle. A pulse rifle, you know, same deal. Big, broad spectrum of guns, but it doesn't, you know, shoot automatically. You press the trigger and it shoots a 3 or 2 or 4 round burst. Scout rifle, same deal. You know, it broadly spectrums, you know, guns from, you know, not exactly sub guns, not exactly heavy guns, somewhere in the middle. And it's any gun where you pull the trigger once and it shoots one bullet and it shoots really far and it does like a lot of damage. But hand cannons are pistols. They're pistols, but they're basically all revolver pistols that are really fucking big. Like really fucking big revolver. And I don't mean two-hand. I don't mean like heavy fucking, or yeah, it is heavy. But you know, you don't hold it with 2 fucking hands. It doesn't look weird. It just looks like a really fucking big revolver pistol. All right, and not even always a revolver. Sometimes it just looks like a regular pistol, but it's really fucking big. You know, and you know, it's not a revolver. This thing, you know, even if it has a drum little mini spiral clip, it doesn't have 6 bullets. It can have anywhere from like 6 to 16 bullets. And it's just a really big fucking pistol. And I love that. I love that so much, because in original Destiny, it's kind of like, yeah, of course they'd have assault rifles, you know, whatever. And it's like, yeah, of course they'd have pulse rifles, yeah, whatever. And yeah, of course they'd have a single fire, like a semi-automatic rifle, scout rifles. Of course they'd have all of those things. That just kind of makes sense. But they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to do it. But I'm so glad they did. They just decided, yeah, equal to power of these 3 things is a sidearm, right? It's just as powerful as all these things. It's a sidearm, but it shoots slow and it hits really fucking hard. And it's not a sidearm, because sidearms shoot really fast, like, and they are weak as fuck. No, this is a giant bang, big fucking hand cannon. And I love them. I fucking love hand cannons. I'm just so glad they added them. And it makes sense that they'd add them, because if like, Destiny is so fucking weird. It's been in development for like, it's been in development since like 2010, 2007, 2008, some shit. So it has like mountains of lore written about it. Like pages and pages of just fucking lore written about this game that came out in such a poor fucking ripped apart state. It just has mountains and mountains of fucking lore written about it. And it's so defined. You know, they have fucking space elves. They have, what the fuck is this? They have like space elves. They have robot people. You know, they got all this shit. They got crazy fucking lore, and none of it's in the game. But they have little snippets like, oh yeah, this game, it's kind of like a fucking spaghetti western, while at the same time being a space odyssey, while at the same time being a regular fantasy with dragons and knights and shit, all at the fucking same time. And one of the remnants of that is fucking hand cannons. You know, you watch some Clint Eastwood movie where they got like a big iron on their hip, a big fucking iron on their hip, and they're ready to go, you know, hunt down the outlaw like the Texas Ranger they are. You know, that's why people know Dredge and Yor, right? That's why people know Shin Malphur, because they were the outlaw and the ranger with the big irons on their hip, right? Like Shin Malphur was the fucking handsome looking ranger who strolled up into town, moseyed on into town after the bandit that killed his mentor, and he fucking stood fucking parallel to him. He pulled out his gun, he whipped it into the air, and shot the motherfucker in the face with a golden bullet. A single golden fucking bullet out of his hand cannon. Blew his damn head off. Right? That would not be as cool as if he did it with a semi-automatic rifle. It wouldn't. It fucking wouldn't. Right? It doesn't matter if westerns never existed. All right? Or any of that shit. Or you're nostalgic for Clint Eastwood. Because I've never watched a western fucking movie for more than like 10 minutes while my stepdad's watching a fucking movie from the 20s on his TV. I don't watch westerns or any of that shit. But I still think it's a million times more fucking badass for somebody to mosey on into town with a big fucking one-handed gun on their hip and then shoot a motherfucker one time in the head with it because he killed his master. Then it's like, oh yeah, I fucking spec ops snuck into a town with my fucking tactical armor on and found the motherfucker and I sniped him out of the corner. No, he didn't do that. He walked up to the motherfucker in the street and he was like, draw, and he shot the fucker in the head. If he was walked up to the motherfucker in town and he was like, draw, and he pulled a fucking semi-automatic rifle off his back and then shot him in the fucking face. He did a 360, jumped in the air, did a fucking 360, and then no-scoped him in the fucking head. That wouldn't be as cool. That still wouldn't be as cool. And that's why I fucking love hand cannons so much. I'm not even at work yet. I've already successfully explained why I like hand cannons so much. I think shit! I hate driving downtown. I've successfully explained why I like hand cannons so much, and I haven't even fucking made it to work yet. What am I gonna talk about now? Swords? Yeah, I fucking love swords in Destiny too. I think they're genius. I think swords in Destiny are genius. I think they're fucking genius. They're basically lightsabers, right? And I'm not even a fan of Star Wars. I was like, yeah, the movie's pretty good. But I'm not, oh, Luke Skywalker, fuck me daddy. I'm not like that, whatever. But I still think lightsabers are cool. Right? Lightsabers are fucking cool. And I hope this is the right street. Yes, this is the right street. I can never fucking tell where I'm going at night. Oh wait, shit! I turned too soon. Soon. I can do a 3-point turn. I'm so worried about driving downtown, which is bad because I deliver downtown. I should probably end this video since I'm almost at work. But yeah, to summarize, hand cannons are the most defining feature of Destiny, in my opinion. If hand cannons weren't in Destiny, I probably still wouldn't even be playing the game, because I wouldn't think my character is as cool. I wouldn't think he's cool enough because he doesn't have a hand cannon. Okay. Gonna break some laws. 3-point turn right here. There's the store. I'm gonna park right there. There's nobody around me. Good. Perfect. This isn't illegal. Let's just back right on up. No parking event, my ass. Alright, yeah. Hand cannons are badass.